viewers, today on Dice and Dragons we are continuing our quest through the Clank games as we review Clank, the Mummy's Curse. It is once again published by Renegade Game Studios and Direwolf Digital. It is also once again designed by Paul Denon. He's just crushing it out when it comes to the Clank games. I'll let Julie tell you guys a little bit more about the game.
Like the original Clank game and the other expansion, it is still a deck building game. 2 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes, and 12 years and above.
Yep, so not much has changed. You guys can take a look at the channel feed, and also during the video you'll see a link to the original Clank. That'll teach you guys how to play the game. We're really only going to focus on the differences in the how to play. And with that being said, we're going to take it to the table. So as always, grab your drink, grab your best friend. Let's take it to the table.
I'm going to beat you this time.
Nope. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
Or dreaming. Dream bubble. Dream bubble. Dream bubble. Now we're going to take a look at Clank, the Mummy's Curse. As with Clank Sunken Treasures, we're not going to go through the how to play or the setup. It is largely the same process as with Clank. There's just some slight differences, and that's what we're going to highlight in this video. For those of you that are looking for more information on Clank as a whole, take a look up above. You should be seeing the links to our Clank video. Now we'll start, as I always like to do on these Clank videos, we're going to take a look at the game board. So once again, we get a nice dual-sided game board, which as always provides a lot of replayability. And as you can see, and I'm just laying this down from the camera, the game boards are very different, whereas this one is a little bit more standard on that side. When you take a look at the other side, it definitely reflects the flavor of the pyramid, which I do really quite enjoy. Now let's talk about the differences in this version of Clank. We'll take a look at the new meeples. Now you do get a new dragon meeple, and that's really just for flavor. You can place this one on the board or use the original one. It doesn't really matter. The new thing that you do get is the mummy. Now the mummy is something we'll talk about in a lot more detail. The mummy starts at the position with the chair, so you'll place the mummy there. And then you have the mummy die, the pyramid die, which you will roll when you need to, and that's going to move the mummy about the board into different areas. Now we'll explain that shortly. I just want to cover the new components as well. First off, we have these 2 onks. Now the onks are 2 new items that you can buy in the marketplace. As with Sunken Treasure, we've got a nice marketplace area right there. Then we do have some new major secrets. We have a new chalice and a new major treasure. With these ones, you will be obligated to roll the mummy die. And we have 2 minor secrets, which do the same thing. They will also make you roll the die. Now the other new element that you see in the Mummy's Curse is curses, of course. I mean, what would you be doing raiding a mummy's tomb without potentially getting cursed? That's the whole point of a game like this, and it's just incredibly thematic and quite appropriate. So we have the new curse tokens. Now what a curse is -2 to your end score. Now when you acquire them, they can be removed, and we'll explain how you can do that in just a little bit. And we'll also show you how you do acquire them, because that's the real key differences in the game. Now the new monster you're going to have next to the goblin is the mummy. Now the mummy can only be defeated when you're in an area that has the mummy. As you can see, there are the 4 symbols, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you are in the same sector, or region as the mummy, you can then engage it in combat. And that is the only way to do that. And as you can see, the mummy die corresponds to those symbols. So when things will happen that will trigger the mummy to move, you roll it, and then the mummy will move into a different area. And I moved it the wrong place. This was the axe. The mummy would actually move towards the axe. All right? So we covered the mummy a little bit. We've covered the mummy movement. Let's see what happens when you defeat the mummy. Now you have different options when you defeat the mummy. You can either take 4 gold and a curse by using 2 attack. You can then you can attack it with 3 swords and then remove half of your curses, round up. So that can be very powerful if you do have a lot of curses. Now how do you get cursed? Well, there's a few different ways that it can happen. Let's talk about the arriving, the mummy die, and what will happen. So there is the Whisper Sphinx. And the Whisper Sphinx, when you arrive, you would roll a pyramid die, so the mummy die. And then if you defeat it, you would draw 2 cards and remove a curse. So that is one way to get rid of a curse. This one, the Doomsayer, is if you have any Clank in the Clank area, each opponent takes a curse. So this one you see, if you have any Clank, each opponent takes a curse. So when you play this card, you can curse all of your opponents and really affect them negatively, which is something that you didn't see as much in the original Clank. Pretty cool. That's another way that people get curses. We have the Crocodilian, which if you defeat it, you would get -1 Clank, and another way to remove a curse. And then you also have the Mummy Hunters, as you can see right here. When they arrive, you must roll the pyramid die, or as I like to call it, the mummy die. You take no curses from the mummy this turn, which is really good. Now you might be wondering why the Mummy Hunters say that you don't take any curses. And just for the sake of giving you guys an explanation, we'll put some of our guys on the board just to give you a good example. That's why I took these 3 meeples. They are not included in Clank the Mummy's Curse. They do come from the core game. And we'll spread them out just across the game board. We'll say that the Mummy Hunter showed up, and we have to then roll the pyramid die. So what we'll do, we'll roll the pyramid die. We get the axe. The mummy would move to the location of the axe, and any character or player that's in that location has to take a curse. So the yellow player would be cursed. And then for another time that we have to roll the pyramid die, the mummy will move again. Star. If blue is still in the area, blue would then be cursed. And that is how the mummy would then move around the board, potentially cursing the players. Very simple, very straightforward. Like much of Clank, it is a very fun, simple, easy game to play. Now the other thing that is different in this edition of Clank, as you saw on the Sunken Treasures board, there are some new symbols on the board. And what you have now are the curse tokens. So when you need to move through these tunnels, you would then be cursed equal to the amount of curse tokens that are marked there. For example, moving from this crystal clave to the market would cost you 3. Moving to where the monkeys are, it would cost you 1. And talking about the monkey idols, we can't forget there is a new monkey idol in this game, a new treasure that is worth 10 that you can add onto the Sunken Treasures game board. It's not something that you would use in the original game. Sorry, and I said Sunken Treasures. I meant to say the Mummy's Curse game board. It's not the Sunken Treasure board. The monkey idols for the Mummy's Curse board. Now that we've gone over everything that's different, we're going to take you to our review of the game. Clank, the Mummy's Curse. That you walk into a museum and end up cursed and ruining the day that decided to go see the New York exhibit of King Tut? Or is this more something that has ascended you or lifted a curse? Maybe nothing as bad as the Mummy's Curse, but lifted a curse on your life.
It had me rise to another plane.
Another plane. That's high praise from her.
Yeah. I was tough on Sunken Treasures, I know I was, but this one adds enough, how can I say, mechanics, I guess is what I want to say. The curses to me and the mummy moving around the board add a different dynamic and a different strategy to the game that I think brings it to another level. I think I also really like the game because I beat you, like I said I would. And
Barely.
That's what he says. And the cards, the characters that you pull, the companions and the different devices, I think bring it to another level as well. So I thought it was solid. I think it's definitely something that you'd want to get if you enjoyed your Clank experience, the original, and you want to take it, maybe make it a little bit harder.
Yeah, I gotta agree with her. The mechanics are there. You've got a new enemy, something that was completely missing from Sunken Treasures. It does have the same drawback as Sunken Treasures. There's no way to separate the expansion easily. Giant pain in the butt. Renegade, please, for the love of God, label the expansions. I don't know why you don't do it, but easy enough. You guys definitely should do it. Curses, the new tokens can easily be mixed in and taken out. And what I really like about this game over the Sunken Treasures one is with the mummy, with the dice, it's a different game. This is Clank plus plus or Clank plus, depending on how you feel about the expansion, whereas the Sunken Treasures was Clank and more Clank, which means that this expansion is going to give you a different gameplay experience. You can play Clank or you can play Clank the Mummy's Curse. You can also mix in the cards to sort of refresh your Clank experience. I just think that for what you're getting in the box for the same price as the Sunken Treasures, there is more to like in this box than what there was in Sunken Treasures. And it's clear that the publishing company, Renegade, took the feedback they got from Sunken Treasures and put out a much better expansion this time around.
So I give it a 7.5. What are you giving it?
I give it a 7.5 as well. It's not quite a must-have expansion. I think it gets as close to a must-have as you can get. It's definitely a nice-to-have because it's still Clank. If this is not taking your Clank experience and making it into something else, whereas you can play Clank and then you can play the Mummy's Curse, and they're two almost separate games. This is very much the same game, but one I would say is harder and maybe just a little bit more fun when it comes to certain things. But Clank still has that special place for us, and we'll still be playing just the core game as well. Now you will see some links to some of our other videos showing up above, specifically back to the original Clank video, so you can see how to play, as we don't go over that in full details in this video. You can find our social media feeds down below. And as always, if you like what you see, comment, subscribe. It's not going to cost you any gold or any skill points. And as always here on Dice and Dragons, grab your drink, grab your best friend, and keep playing games.
Keep playing games.
You just have to rub it in that you beat me.
I said I would. I followed through.
Just wait. Clank in Space is coming.
I'll still beat him.
I don't know. I think she's not going to make it to an escape pod. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be back with that in a few weeks.